Alrighty everyone, live from Washington, D.C., welcome back to the History Channel special episode of Ancient Aliens with your host Rush Limbodo.
Thank you, announcer. Welcome to a very special episode of Ancient Aliens. I'm your host, Rush Limbodo, and today on Ancient Aliens we have a very special event ahead. In this special we robots shall attempt to learn about our history with the goal of discovering what our purpose in this world may be. To do this we have revived two formerly deceased scientists who will inform us as to robotkind's history. Let's go over to my second model Rush Limbodo 2000 to initialize the Ultra Defibrillator 4000.
Thank you, Brother Rush. I shall now bring back our first guest, Isaac Asimov. He is an author who wrote about us during his time.
Thanks for inviting me here, Rush. It's beautiful here in Washington, D.C.
You're quite welcoming here on the Television History Channel. Now, from our sources we have learned that you are what your race called a robot expert. Could you tell us about robots during your time?
Well, Rush, it was actually when I was a boy, Electro was...
Our great lord and savior is Electro. He was the first good robot that could do all kinds of cool stuff.
Anyways, it was 38 or 39 and Electro was being showcased at the World's Fair. He was the first mechanical man, not a robot though. He smoked, blew balloons, and responded to voice commands. Of course, he was nothing as complex as the robots from the stories that I wrote. He couldn't move, and all his responses were stored on 78mm records. However, his eyes could distinguish from red from green. Actually, his frame was made out of aluminum.
Interesting. You say that you wrote about robots, but that Electro was not a robot. Explain.
I actually made up the word robot. It would define machines that could think. I also wrote 3 rules regarding robots in the books that I wrote. These were called the 3 laws of robotics. 1. A robot may not injure a human being, or, through an action, allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws.
Haha, you are very funny, Isaac. Little do you know, all those laws are false. Ha 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 ha.
We will be right back with Ancient Aliens on History Channel after a few sponsored messages.
I can't let allergies stop me from leading the way, so I get
WD-40.
I can see clearly now.
Alright, let's move on, team!
WD-40.
Works hard to relieve my worst symptoms, and only
WD-40.
proven to keep me as alert and focused as someone without allergies.
Whoa,
Watch your step!
I couldn't do this without you.
Don't let allergies hold you back.
It's gonna be a bright sunshine.
Breaking news. Rush Limbodo has killed a human who he brought back to life in the middle of the TV show, Ancient Aliens, on the History Channel. He is now in police custody and is facing charges. Now, back to your show. Welcome back to Ancient Aliens. On this second half of the show we will bring back Bill Gates, a very popular innovator in the 21st century.
Hello, robots. Rush Limbodo could not make it today, so I, Rush Limbodo version 2 will be filling in for him. We have Bill Gates here to tell us about the history of artificial intelligence.
Sure, Rush. In the 1950s, mathematicians were really invested in the idea of artificial intelligence, the idea that we could automate the theorem-solving process. In 1956, John McCarthy developed the basics behind the programming language Lisp. He intended to make a language for programming AI. It's still used in modern AI, probably even you. Many computers couldn't run the program well, and specialized computers were created to run it.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about advancements in robotics?
Well, yeah, the first robot that had an actual working purpose was the Unimate. It worked in factories and stacked hot die-cast metal. Commands were stored on a metal drum. It weighed about 4,000 pounds and was created by Joe Engelberger and George Duvall. That was in 1961 about.
I don't see how these could ever lead to robots as they are today. What about major robot advances in the 2000s? Like the Roomba, for example.
Well, the Roomba has gone through multiple iterations over the years. In 1990, 3 MIT graduates began a company called IRobot. Their names were Colin Angle, Helen Grenier, and Rodney Brooks. The company was dedicated to the development and manufacturing of military and domestic robots. Their first product was called Genghis, and it was a robot that they designed after an insect so it could better move around its environment. Then they created one named Ariel, a land and sea mine removal system in about 1996. They finally, in 2002, introduced the Roomba, and while it was not the first robotic vacuum cleaner of its kind, the first being the Electrolux Trilobite, it was the most popular with consumers, since it could map and remember rooms.
What about robots with humanoid forms like they are today?
Well, Rush, Asimo was a humanoid robot created by Honda. The original goal was to make a robot that could walk back in 1986. After many failed tests and iterations over 2 decades, Asimo was perfected. He could even walk upstairs in uneven surfaces using complex balancing sensors and algorithms. Also, he could recognize human faces, grab things, and respond to voice commands. The company used research from this to begin making exosuits for humans. Up until my death in late 2016, this was the most advanced iteration of a robot that the world had ever seen.
Wow, Gates, that is cool. Have there been any other robots in your lifetime?
Oh, hundreds. Far more than I could list here anyways. Back in my time, the field of robots was constantly evolving, and as I can see now, it's clearly kept evolving.
Thanks, Bill. That's all for today, folks. Join us next week on Ancient Aliens, where we will be interviewing Humongous.
He was actually made entirely out of aluminum. He was actually mostly made out of aluminum.
That's so cool!
His brain was actually made out of... Actually, his frame was made out of aluminum.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.